What's up, everyone? Steven with Herd Homes Real Estate here in Orange County, California. And in today's episode of the podcast, I want to talk about the 8 things that I cover on every buyer consultation. So let's dive right into it. I'm meeting with a buyer. I am trying to educate them and influence them to work with me. What are the 8 things that I make sure to cover? Number 1, the first thing that I go into is I spend about 1 to 2 minutes just building some credibility. Until people really know that you know what you're talking about, they are less likely to listen to you. So I just have one slide that says, before I talk to you about the process and buying a home, let me just share with you a little bit about who I am and why I am in this business, why I'm so passionate about this business. And I'll explain to them that I've been in the business for 13 years. I've consulted and had conversations with, probably 50 to 100,000 home buyers, educating them on the market, helping them to make good decisions, and I've personally helped hundreds of people buy and sell real estate. So I build a little bit of credibility into that, and then I'll explain to them my why, my purpose, what's driving me. It's not as important what I do, it's important why I do it, Mr. Buyer. And, I come from a family where both my parents, they were able to build generational wealth through real estate, even though they came from nothing. So when I saw the power of real estate in their life, and I saw what it could do, it really inspired me to help others achieve that. So people know my heart behind it, they know that I care, and they're more likely to work with me. The second thing that I cover in my buyer consultation is understanding their criteria. So I get really deep in my questions with them. What's driving you to buy a home right now? What is your ideal timeline to purchase a home? What are your biggest fears or concerns? What are your must-haves in the home? Do you have any large furniture or equipment that you need space for? How do you plan to utilize the space in the home? How do you plan to utilize the space in the yard? What do you do when you're off work? How often are you guys in the community? Do you guys walk a lot? So I'm just trying to understand everything I can about them and their reasons for buying and their criteria so that I can really guide them based on what is best for them. I come from a complete consultant approach. If we have, at the end of the conversation, there have been multiple buyers that I've met with and I said, it's not a good time for you to buy right now because of X, Y, and Z. And I earned their trust for life. And they ended up coming back to buy later because it just wasn't a good time for them based on their financial situation. So number 3, I go into understanding the market. So I have 3 slides that I go over. Number 1 is I go over a slide that shows the supply of homes month over month for the last 15, 20 years. So it's a really good chart. And I basically walk them through what kind of market we're in based on the current supply of houses in our county. We need about 8,000 homes or above in our market to be in a buyer's market. Right now we have about 4,000. In the last 2 years, we've had less than 4,000. So this helps me guide them and educate them on the right strategy. The second thing I walk them through is the charts on pending sales. So I explained to them that, based on the amount of pending sales that are happening right now, this is the kind of market you can expect. This is the kind of competition, how many offers you might see. So I'm prepping them for what they're going to see out there in the market. And then the third slide that I go over is the foreclosure slide because everybody thinks foreclosures are coming, foreclosures are popular. Can I just buy a foreclosure? And I show in the recession how there were 6,000 foreclosures on the market. And then I show today in Orange County how there's about 6. And so I really explain to them that because equity has gotten so high, prices have come up so high, we're not seeing foreclosures in this market. And when we do, we're seeing them being gobbled up by cash buyers. Are you planning on paying cash? You weren't? Okay, then I wouldn't focus on a foreclosure strategy. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4 is I give them a strategy to win in this market. Based on what's happening in this market today, that is going to determine what strategy I'm going to use to explain to them, this is how we're going to win in this market. So if the market is going up fast, the strategy is we need to be quick, we need to be aggressive, and we need to be willing to settle for a little bit less than what our expectations were, and we need to be willing to go 100 to 150,000 above the listing price. That's what's going on in a hot rising market. We need to remove the contingency, whatever we need to do to win the deal. I explain that strategy. In a balanced market like we're in now, what we need to do is we need to really look at all of our options. We need to really understand where the opportunities are. And we need to be looking at homes that have been on the market for 15, 30, 45 days because those homes are deals. So if their budget is 1.5 million and there's a home that's been sitting on the market at 1.6 that they really love, but it's been on the market for 60 days, that might be an opportunity to get it for 1.525 or something like that. So I give them a strategy based on what's happening in the market. Number 5, I explain the entire process. Hey, here's escrow 101. Your offer is going to get accepted. Here's how you deliver your earnest money deposit. Here's what the inspection's going to look like. Here's what they're going to cover. Here's how the termite inspection works. Here's how you know what's wrong with the home, with the seller disclosures, anything that they're aware of. Here's how your escrow documents works. Here's how getting insurance works. Here is your final walkthrough. Here's getting your loan approved. And here is the final closing and when you get possession. So I basically give them a summary, a condensed version, but I go into a little bit of detail and I explain to them, this is what the process is going to look like. I also walk them through their closing costs. So I'll say, hey, no other realtor even knows what the closing costs are. They don't, if you ask a realtor, what are my closing costs on the home? Most realtors don't even care. They just punt it over to the lender thinking that the lender knows it all or is going to give an all-inclusive list. The truth is there's things that they're going to have to pay for that the lender is not going to make them aware of, such as the home inspection. And such as the appraisal. There's upfront costs that are not going to be on their closing cost sheet, or they're not going to have to bring at the end of escrow. They're going to have to pay upfront. So these are things that they really need to know about, and I try to break down every single cost that they could expect, and this helps them to make more informed decisions when it's time to purchase. And let me tell you, with the analytical personalities, if there is an unexpected cost, it doesn't matter whose fault it was, it's your fault. 100% of the time, it's your fault. You're a salesperson, your job is to explain all the costs to the buyer. So that's number 5, I explain the process. Number 6 is I cover an FAQ, frequently asked questions. So I'm going through this information to say, now here's the top 5 questions I get from home buyers. What about new construction? You know, if you ever want to look at a new construction home, if you go to that property and I'm not there to walk you through the door, they will actually deny you real estate agency representation. They'll force you to work with one of their super aggressive salespeople, and they will not allow us to even work with you in the process. Pro tip right there. So I walk them through the FAQs. You know, how do I know? What if the market crashes, right? The top 5 questions I get from buyers. What if the market crashes? I explain to them, how long do you plan to live in this home? Here's what happens if prices go down, then they're going to come right back up. Are you cool with that? So I just go through the FAQs to make sure to cover things that I think are going to be relevant to them. Number 7, this is where I go through a virtual home review. So I say, great, now that we have your criteria, now that we know the market, we can look at it through a proper lens. Now that you understand the process, now we're going to go ahead and dive into the virtual home review. We're going to look at 3 or 4 homes, and what I'm going to do is we're going to find one you like, and I'm going to help calculate the mortgage payment for you. Now, this is a pro tip. If you can help them calculate the mortgage payment and you can show them, so what I do, we search 4 or 5 different homes, and I will look at the one that they like, and I will put it in the Zillow mortgage calculator. I'll put the proper tax rate in there for my county or my city. I will put the proper HOA. I'll put the right down payment, and I'll look at them and I'll say, this is what the mortgage payment is going to be on this home. Is this feasible for you? Now, if they're looking at a home that is really nice or has lots of upgrades, I'm going to say it's likely that this home is going to get bid up. It's also likely that interest rates could rise a little bit in this market. So I'll run a scenario. If the home was at 1.5 million, I'll run it at 1.55 with a slightly higher interest rate. And I'll say, what about this mortgage payment? And so what I'm doing is I'm future pacing them. I'm bringing them into the future to see, you know, if I can help them start processing this information right now, because almost always the homes that my clients love, that they're going to be forever homes, are above their budget. That's just how the human brain works. We're always searching for more than we can currently have, right? So a lot of times if they want that dream home, I need to walk them through. This is what the dream home costs. Does that make sense for you? So that's the virtual home review. From there, I'm scheduling showings with them. And step number 8 is I sign the buyer loyalty agreement. I have a one-page agreement. It's super simple, not a lot of legal or anything. It's not a real contract. It's just the act of getting them to sign and be committed to me. I agree to work with Steven from this time to this time. If I purchase a home without Steven, I understand that I'll owe him a 2.5% commission of the sales price. That's pretty much it. It's just a one-page document that I typed up myself. I would never pursue a client to try to sue them if they didn't pay me the commission. The reality is, as soon as they sign, they're mentally committed to you, and they're likely to work with you. If they're not, you don't want that kind of client anyways, who's just a total sleazebag, right? So, and the benefits of the loyalty agreement is that when they sign, they're committed to working with me. It changes the dynamic of the relationship. I'm committed in my marriage. I'm committed to my wife. And so the way that I treat her is way different than I would have treated someone that I was dating, because I'm all in. I'm not going anywhere. I'm 100% all in. And so I'm going to treat her with a level of respect, with a level of communication. There's going to be teamwork, because I know that, hey, I'm going to be with this person long term. I need to make good decisions now in the relationship. So with that being said, that's how clients act when you have a loyalty agreement signed with them. They communicate better, they respect you more, they see it as a more long-term relationship, and they treat it that way. So these are the 8 things that I do on every buyer consultation. You might be reading this and saying, or listening to this and saying, hey, this is a little bit of excessive, this is a little bit too much. And yeah, I would agree. It's excessive, it's a little bit too much. Maybe you should summarize it, however you want to do it. This is just what works for me. This is how consistently, for 13 years, when I work with a home buyer, 100% of the time they have a good experience. 100% of the time their expectations are met. 100% of the time they are excited to work with me and refer me to their friends, because they know everything. There's nothing hidden. They've gone through every expectation, and I've prepared them to win. That's the way that I prefer to do business, even if it may not be the most efficient way. I'm sure in the future I'll have to summarize it to scale, but for now, this is what I do. So, hope this video was helpful to you. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. I enjoy and look forward to making some great content for you guys. And if you're listening to it on the podcast, the Herdway Real Estate Podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. Would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.